So hello everyone, welcome to this another video of Scale Up India. I'm Abhishek Verma and you are watching the Hibernate series. Now till now in this series we have seen that why do we need Hibernate, what is Hibernate and how to configure the Hibernate in our Java Maven project. If you haven't watched that video till now, then you can first of all check out that video and then you can come back for this particular video. Now in this video we are going to see that how to perform the CRUD operations using Hibernate, and before that we will also see that how we are going to make usage of the session factory. So in the last video if you have just seen, so we just created the session factory, we were not using this, but in this video we are going to use it. Then we'll see how to make usage of session, how to make usage of transaction, and then how to perform all the four major CRUD operations. Now one important thing is that before going for any CRUD operations, I will show you two different options for doing the same. Now why do we need to show the two different options? The reason is that before Hibernate 6, so currently as you know that we are working with the latest version of Hibernate, and before this particular version both of the methods used to work fine, and there used to be different advantages and disadvantages of each and every method. But from Hibernate 6 onwards, they started making that one of the methods is going to be deprecated and now we should go for a single method only. Now what are those methods? That we will see very soon. So let's get started with the coding part. So here we are in our IDE, and as you can see that I'm having demo 2. Now in this demo 2, here I'm having this pom.xml first of all with me. Now in this one, this Hibernate code is the same dependency which we added in our previous demo. Now here if you see, there is nothing in src test java. In src main resources we are just having the SQL files so that you can get all the data. In the messages.properties I have just copied it from my demo 0. Then in the hibernate.properties, this is the same file which I copied from my demo 1. So in the previous demos we have already explained this. And going forward towards the src main java, so here this is the class which is going to contain your main method and all the different options. Now here with the help of Hibernate we are just going to perform four basic CRUD operations, that is to saving the owner as well as pet, to find the owner, to update the pet details. So in the update pet details we are just going to update the name of pet, and then we are going to delete the owner. Now you will say that why haven't you added the option for fetching all the owners? Because for that here we don't have any direct method as such, and we will be making usage of the HQL. So in the starting demos it is not going to be there, and whenever required I will add that particular method from my HQL video onwards. Then besides this, as you can see, I'm having this as my entity class. So again this is the same class which we created in demo 1. So you can watch in that video in detail that how I'm doing so. Currently since there is no change, so I won't be going through this. Whenever any change will come to a class, I will show you. Then this enums are also as it is same, no change. Exception part is again as it is same, no change. Service and service IMPL are again same from our previous demo of demo 0, and there is again no change. Then in the util, input util is again same, and then I have created something like mapper util here. Now you will say that okay, Hibernate will help you to directly provide the object as it is because we are making usage of object relational mapping, ORM. Then why do we need this particular mapper util? The reason is that here as you can see I'm having one owner class. Now this owner class is having so many Hibernate annotations along with this. So you can see at the rate entity, table, and so many other annotations. Now what happens is that many times in the big projects, it happens that you don't want to show the same class, same owner or same entity class as it is to the front end. You may want to change some of the features, or sometimes you just want to show a part of a particular class, not all the things. So maybe let's say that instead of always showing the date of birth to the UI, you just want to show the age. So sometimes it happens that you may want to add some extra variables, or you may want to remove some variables from the UI, or you just want to manipulate some of the variables. So for those scenarios, what happens is that generally we don't show this entity class as it is to the UI. So only our repository is going to work with the entity. And then we will be creating something like a owner DTO class. So this DTO stands for data transfer object. So that is the purpose of it. Now currently you will see that okay, all my variables are same as the owner class, but because it's a small demo only and here we are not doing anything much. But in the big projects it may happen that you want to use different DTOs also. Another example can be that let's say that you are making something like registration. Now for the registration, you will see that for a particular user, there will be so many details. ID, password, first name, last name, city, state, gender, and so many other things. So in those scenarios, you will be having a single table. But then there will be something like login also. Now for login, you don't need all the customer details again. You just need the ID and the password. So in those scenarios, instead of making usage of customer entity or anything like customer DTO, we create one more login DTO. And there we are just having two variables, ID and password. So that's the reason. So your entities are directly going to map with the tables in the database. And this DTO is for the UI perspective. I mean, what kind of way you want to show it to the UI or how you would want to accept the data from the UI. Here for us, the UI is our keyboard. I mean, that's the thing. We will be just entering the things and we will be showing the output on the console. Otherwise, later on, we will do the same thing with the help of a web application also. Then you will understand it more. Now the thing is that in our service layer, so whenever we are going to call any repository method, so let's say this is one of the repository method, find owner. We will be providing the owner ID here. Now this is going to provide me the owner, not the owner DTO. So what I will do is I will be calling a particular method separately. I mean, not in this one because this was for update. Let me take example of this. So here it is returning me the owner, but to the front end, or let's say to our this main class, there we are first of all converting it to the DTO. Now for this, what I'll just do is I'll pass this owner object here, and this is the implementation as it is same, because here again I said it is up to you how much manipulation you want to do. Currently I don't want to do too much manipulation, so I'm just showing like this. It may happen that to the front end or the UI you just want to show the owner details, not the pet details. So in that case you can create some another DTO, let's say without pet, and there you remove all the pet details, only the owner details you are showing. So I hope you are getting my point. So same way we have a method here which is going to convert your owner object to the owner DTO. It's a very simple thing. And then there is a separate method which is going to convert the DTO to owner. Again, why do we need this? Because we are also saving the data. So from the user or from the UI, we are going to accept the owner DTO. And then we are first of all going to convert it to the owner, and then we are going to save that particular owner. This is generally used in the bigger projects. If you say that currently in the smaller project, if I directly use owner, then will it work? Yes, obviously that is going to work. But the thing is that we are learning from the basics, but we are pointing towards the bigger projects. Our goal is later on for the bigger projects. Hence, I'm just trying to provide you the more real life scenario. Now, some of you may also say, then it may be a little difficult that every time we need to set so many variables. Yeah. So yeah, that's a correct point. And for this also there are different options. So you can take help of Lombok, you can take help of MapStruct, and there are many other dependencies also. But again, the point is that currently our focus is on Hibernate. And I'm assuming that in order to learn Hibernate, maybe you don't know Lombok, or maybe you don't know extra of those things. So why to add those as of now? So let's try to make it as simple as possible. Later on, or let's say that if you know something extra, then you can just download the demo and enhance this one. I guess that is going to be even much more easier. And these demos can be simple as of now. Later on, we are going to enhance this maybe in some different series. Yeah, so that can be done. Now that was all about this mapping part. So we are making usage of this mapper util. Now I want to call those methods directly, hence I have made them as static. and we don't need to create the constructor for this class, so I made it as private constructor as a good practice. So this was all about this part. Now we will go to repository, but before this, here we are having this properties config. So this is again same as from our previous demo 0. Now here you see I'm just loading the messages.properties file. We don't need to load the hibernate.properties. That will be loaded automatically. That's the magic because of the name. Now in the database config, what I have done is, like if you remember, in our previous video, I have shown you that how to do this particular configuration. So we were just doing this configuration, adding the annotated class, and I told you that this will automatically load your hibernate.properties. Then we are making usage of this service registry, and here this is going to provide us the session factory. So with the help of this session factory only, we will create sessions, and those session is going to provide me the method in order to interact with the database. So if that is clear, the next point comes is then okay, that means this class is ready. But the answer is no, the class is not ready as of now. Now why is it so? You can first of all tell me in the comment options also, like why I'm saying that this class is not ready as of now. And then I will tell you the reason. So the reason why I'm saying that this class is not ready, because here if you see that if I will directly call this method build session factory, then what will happen? Then it will just try to create the session factory again and again. Every time I will be calling this method. But in my previous video, I just told you that there should be only one single session factory in your whole project. There can be multiple sessions, but only one single session factory. That means that you should not be able to call this method again and again. Now for this, there can be many different options. You can say that, okay, we will save it somewhere and then we won't call it. But let's try to enhance the code here itself. So first of all, I'm saying that we should not be able to call it directly. And then also I don't want to call it by creating the object of database config. I want to call something directly instead of creating the object. So for that, let me just create it a static method, so that I don't need to always create an object of database config and then I call. Directly I can say database config dot build session factory. Now if this is a static method, I don't want to create the constructor also for this class. So for that purpose, let me just say here private and something like this database config. So let me write like this. So now this looks better. So that is being done here. Now what will happen? Anyway, you can directly say database config dot build session factory. But if you will do it twice, it will give you two different session factory objects, and that we don't want. So for that purpose, what we will do is we will, let's say, create a different method. So we are not going to build it again and again. So we are not going to do this. Hence, let's make it private so that no one can call it. And separately, let's create a method. And again, that should be a static method because I don't want to create object of database config. Now that one should just provide me this session factory instance instead of creating. So let me name it like get. Why I'm saying great. So if you wish to say that these videos are great, then that's a separate thing. So let's say session factory, something like this. So I will invoke this method, and this method will just provide me the instance. So I want to get an instance here. So what I will do is, here I will say return, and here I can get the instance. So let me do like this. Now you will say that why you are coding like this. I mean, this will again do the same job. Instead of calling the method directly, first I'm saving it, I'm calling this and then it is calling that method. So let's not do it in this way. Let's do something like this. Let's create here a private. I mean, we should just create the instance once and then save it somewhere. So let's make it private static final so that only one instance is created here. So let's do it like this, session factory, and here let's say we need an instance of session factory, something like this. And here what I will do is that this part I will remove from here, I'll keep here, and then this session factory I'll just copy here and I'll paste it out here, something like this. So now it will look like this. So what I have done is that first of all, this method I made static. Why I made static? Because I don't want to create object of database config and then call. I want to call it directly. Then I said that if that is the case, then we should not create a constructor, so I made it a private. Then I said we don't want to build the session factory again and again. It should be built only once. So I made it private. Here I made a private static final variable, and there only I just initiated it once. So whenever the code will start, it will be just initiated once, and then later on I will just keep on saying get session factory. So it will provide me always a single instance here. And then let's check the things here. So first of all, instead of directly calling and doing other things, let's see, will it provide me two different instances or a single instance? So what I'll do is I'll say here sysout, something like this. What happened? Yeah, this is the way we call it as sysout. And then here let's say database, and then let's say config, and here let's say get session factory. So something like this, or let me try to save them somewhere. So now this where is very helpful in this case. So let's say F1 for the factory 1, something this way, and let's again say F2, and then again do like this. And then let's check whether these two are going to be same or not, because there may be chances that still I have made some kind of mistake. So I'm not running rest of the code, but this I will do. Now one more thing which will happen is that when I will run the code, it will create the table for this particular class. Currently if I show you, my Pakistan looks something like this. So I have just created a fresh schema only, so that I have done. And now let's run the code and let's see whether these two objects are going to be same or different. If my coding is right, then they should be same. So currently it says the address of both of the objects are same. So you should ensure first of all this particular thing, that only one single session factory should be created. And then there is no other way that you directly call build session factory, because no other method is public here. So this one is good. So we have done the configuration part here. So each and every small thing needs to be checked in this way. Let's again say Ctrl+Shift+O to remove unwanted import. So our database config is ready. So this part is all ready. And now we are ready for the next part, that's the repository. So in the repository, as I told you, I have all the four basic CRUD operations. Saving, which is the creating. Then I'm saying find owner by the owner ID, which is the read operation. Then update pet details. So I'm just updating the pet name on the basis of owner ID. So update operation, and then I'm saying delete operation, which is obviously the delete operation as it is. Now in the repository IMPL, I've just done something like this. So here I haven't done anything big. I've just created the empty method so that they look like this. Now here what I want to do is I want to call the required things. Now in order to call the required methods of Hibernate, first of all I need to create a session, and in order to create a session I need a session factory here. Now session factory will be required for this method, this and this, all four methods. So let me make it a common variable here on the class level. So what I'll do is I'll just say like this private, and then here I will say session factory, something this one, and see this is from org Hibernate, not the other one, then it may go for a mistake. So we will say it like this session factory, and then we'll just give it some name. So as I told you, I always like to give the same name, that's make my job easier. And here let's call it as, otherwise you see I can just give the name like F1, F2 or those names I get, but this is far better approach. So I'll do it like this. So I have got one single variable. Now if you have a separate repository class, that also we will be doing in our upcoming demos. So there also we'll just do it like this, and there won't be any chance of creating two different session factory objects. Now from this one, let's try to get a session. So what we will do is here we will say session factory, and then here I will try to get a session. So in order to get a session from the session factory, we need to call the method open session. So this will provide us a session object here. So this we will do, and here we will just save it like this, session, and then this is again a session, and it looks like this. Now let's do the required input with the help of Control Shift O. So again, when I say this, it's showing me multiple options. I need to go for this Hibernate one. So from Hibernate, I have got a session. So it says this is the session. Now for this session, what happens is that whenever you are starting a session, you should always close the session also as a good practice. So we need to say like this, session.close. Now obviously this should be the last line, but I'm just telling you in advance that we need to close the session. So this is the job. Now if we need to do it again and again, then it is going to be difficult. Now why difficult? Because again, see, there can be a chance that in between, like here, you will be writing some part of code. So here we will be having some part of code. Now if that code can throw me exception also, and if an exception is thrown, then there are chances that his session may not be closed. So what should we do? So in that scenario, you will say that okay, no issues. You should make usage of try, catch, and finally write your logic in try. In catch, handle the exception and put the statement session.close in the finally block. But that way my code will become bigger. In our JDBC series also, if you remember, we saw that whenever we are making usage of that try, catch, finally, the code looks too much big. And there the solution was that we started making usage of try with resources so that it automatically close my resources. But that was possible because your resources were inheriting, or let's say not inheriting, but they were implementing the auto closable interface. So let's see if here also we can do something like that. So let me click here, and it says that okay, it is going to extend this particular shared session contract and entity manager. As of now, we'll not go in details of what is this, what is that. Just let's keep on checking their parent. So this entity manager is going to extend the auto closable, and this auto closable is an interface. So it looks like this. So if it is taking this auto closable, so somehow if it is implementing the auto closable, then we can directly make usage of try with resources here also. So let's enhance our code. So here we are going to say try, in the brackets we will say like this try, and we just need like this try. So this is the part, and if we are using try with resources, we don't need to close it. Here currently I don't want to handle any kind of exceptions, so I don't need a catch block here. So only this will do the job for us. So I have done the try part. So my session has been created, and that's good. Now after the session, if I try to save a resource, so there will be some change in my database. Yeah, and if there is going to be some change in my database, then it may happen that sometimes you may want to change multiple things. So for these things, if you remember, I told you that we should always go for a transaction. In our JDBC series also, we saw that whenever we are updating something, we should make usage of transactions. That's a good practice. So here also let's do the same. So for that, we'll just say here session dot, and here we will say begin transaction. So this is the one which you need to go for, begin transaction here. Now this is going to return you a transaction object. Let's make usage of it. So again, I'll just write it like this, transaction. So that's the thing. And again, I need to import. So let me say Control Shift O. Again, I'm getting two options. One is from Jakarta, that is JPA. Second one is from Hibernate. So if you are using the one from Jakarta, then also it's good, because let's say tomorrow you want to switch it to something else, then you don't need to change. But currently our focus is on Hibernate only. So let's use this. So generally in the entity class, we make usage of the JPA annotations, and here we try to take everything from the Hibernate. because our focus is Hibernate. In our last demo of this series, I'll show that how to move your focus towards JP only. And then we will be using all the methods, all the interfaces, all the classes from the JPA. Here, let's do it from the transaction. Now in the transaction, at the end, we need to commit the transaction. Like for the session we were closing. So for transaction, we need to commit. So here, let's say something like this, commit. And what's the mistake I have done here? So TRANS, and it should be action, something like this. So we are committing. Here currently we are not taking the scenarios of rollback and other things. So only just a simple thing, commit. There's nothing like close. Now you will say that, do we need to keep this also in these brackets of try with resources? The answer is no, we don't need to do that, because if you open this, so it will keep on going like this, entity transaction, and then there is no parent like auto closable. So even if you will try to keep it there, it will not work. So here the only options is you try to go for a commit or a rollback. So those options can be done here. As of now, we are not doing something like that. It's a first demo only for the CRUD operations. So let's keep it basic. So we'll do it like this. So this is the job. And here we will be writing a logic. So here I will say logic to save object or logic to save entity. So this we need to do. And as of now, I have not introduced that method. But before this, let me do something interesting. Let me copy this in all others also, because there also you need to make usage of it. So let me just do it like this. So in the find owner, again there also we need to open the session. So I'm just opening the session like this. Now do we need a transaction there? The answer is no. We are just reading. So let's not do anything there like this. And here we will say this is going to be our logic to read entity or the logic to fetch the entity. Then same thing we need to do here also in the update. So again update, there is a change in the database, so we need a transaction. Same we need in the delete. So you just see in this way all our methods are looking so small. I mean, you can compare it with our methods of the JDBC. There it is still used to look big, but here they look so small. I mean, just it is something like 52 lines as of now. Although you will say that you are have not written the actual logic, maybe then it may become big, but still currently it's small. Later on we will compare that too. Now after this, the next part left is that now we need to call the actual methods to save, read, update, as well as to delete. Now for this, as I told you that for each and every operation, there are two different methods, two different variations. Let's first of all check those variations with the help of deck. Then we will come here, we will decide which one we should use, which one we should not use, and accordingly. So here we are, and as you can see that currently we are going to see that how to create a new row. Now in order to create a new row, I just told you that now we just need to call a particular method. But then there are two different methods. One is save method and the other one is persist method, and both of them will do the same job. They are going to save your entity in the database. Now you will say that if both the methods will do the same job, which one to use, why do we need this? So let's see step by step. So you can read all the things. Let me read it line by line. I have deliberately made these tables of comparison small. So this is the save method and it looks like this. So it will take an object and it will return the object also. So what it does, it accepts the object to be saved. Then on saving, let's say sometimes what happens is that after saving, we are assigning the identifier, the primary key. Currently, we are just hard coding the primary key from the starting itself. So that point won't come into the picture. But sometimes it happens that generally in the big projects, you are generating the identifier later on. So then after saving, it assigns the identifier and then it returns you the saved object. So that's the benefit of it. It is going to return you after saving. But in the persist, here it only accepts the object and it won't return you anything. So that is not going to work here. It will just accept, assign the identifier, but don't return. So you will say that, okay, let's always use this. Let's check more part. Then we say that this save method is only a part of Hibernate, not a part of the JPA specification. So only Hibernate provides this. But the persist method is actually the part of both JPA as well as Hibernate. So you will see this method in your Hibernate, that is session factory class also, and in your JPA, that is entity manager interface also. There also you will see this particular method. Then the thing is that from Hibernate 6 onwards, the save method has been deprecated. So if you will try to use, they will say it is deprecated. And as a standard, we should go for the persist method. Now you will say that how we will get the identifier then. So that we will see later on. As of now, we are hard coding the identifier. So let's not talk about that part. But the point is, from Hibernate 6 onwards, the standard one is to make usage of the persist method. Why? Because it is coming, it is in the JP also, it is in the Hibernate also. So tomorrow if you will switch to any other tool also, then also you can use the persist as it is, because it is even available in your JPA specification directly. And if you are using something before Hibernate, then you should be aware about both of them. And also it's a very good question in your interviews, the difference between the save and the persist method. And there if you will add this last point, then it is going to be a plus point for you, because it may happen that your interviewer still don't knows that it has been deprecated from Hibernate 6. So you can tell them, and if they don't agree, then you can show them the proof also, which we are going to do now. So let's come back to our code and first of all see the proof for this deprecation, whether I'm right or I'm wrong. Let's see. So I'm back to my code now, and here let's see that whether those things are right or not. So first of all, we will try to go for the save method here. So I will just say here session dot save, and then I told you that in the save we need to provide the object to be saved, and I'm already having the owner. So I'll say here owner like this, and this should do my job. And if I move my cursor here, then currently it says that it has been deprecated since version 6.0. So that's the reason. If you wish, you can just click on this, you say open declaration, and it will take you to this session.class. And here also it will say you that it can return the object, it can accept the object, it can return the saved object, but it is deprecated from version 6.0, the latest version which we are using, and hence we should not use it anymore. So if that is the thing, then what we should use? So they say that instead of it, try to go for this persist method. So this persist method is available in your session.class, as well as it is available in the parent of session, that is entity manager. So entity manager is coming from the JPA specification, and there also your persist method is available as it is. So hence we should be using persist now. So let's make it persist like this. So we have done it like this, persist, and that's the good practice. So now onwards we should be using persist, not the save. Make it a habit not to make usage of the deprecated methods until unless there is any like boundaries, like someone is saying you that you need to use that method only, or let's say sometimes what happens that you are working in a particular production related project, they are using the older libraries, so there it is fine if you are using the old methods, deprecated methods due to some XYZ reason, because generally we say that in IT if something is working we should not touch it. But the point is, when you are learning, then you should take care of all the new things. You should see that why should we not use the older one. Try to check the documentation like we just now checked, see if it is deprecated, what's the solution, and this way you can check and see it is so easy. And now that's the logic to save. You are directly saving this owner as it is, and this owner is your Java class actually. I mean, here you don't need to do too much amount of mapping, which we were doing in demo 0. Now let's see how to find the owner, and let's see for this also do we have any options in our deck first. So here we are with the second part, to read a row, and for this also we say here that okay, there are again two options. One method is load, other one is get. Now let's again check the difference. So the load method looks like this. The method name is load, and it will take two arguments always. The first argument is the kind of entity class or the data type of your entity. So let's say currently we want to fetch the owner. So here we will say owner.class. if you want to just fetch a pet, so you will say pet.class, customer.class, and accordingly. And the second argument is going to be your primary key. Now it's the point that primary key is not always the integer. It can be anything. Like sometimes it can be a combination of 2-3 variables also. We call it as composite primary key. For us it's a simple thing, so hence we will be using it directly. Now here you see they are making usage of generic. So it is a generic method here, and it will provide you that object whatever you will write here if it is available. Same is for get, there is no difference. So the method definition looks same for both of them. Let's see more difference now. So in the load, we say that it is going to accept two things, data type and the primary key. Yes, we know. Then if data exists, I mean if for that primary key, if we have a row in the database, so it will return you the object, the owner object, let's say. And if it is not there, then it will not throw you any kind of exception directly. So if it is not there, it won't directly throw the exception. Instead, whenever you will try to access any of the properties of that object, then it will throw you the exception as object not found exception. Let's try to understand this. So here we told it load owner.class comma, let's say ID as 100. Now we know ID 100 is not available here. So moment you will say load and you will save it to the, let's say, some owner object, it won't tell you anything. It will say okay, everything looks fine. And let's say you are saving it to a variable like someone, let's say owner o1. So the moment you will say o1 dot get first name or o1 dot get pet or something like this, then it will throw you the exception as object not found exception, because here it always do the lazy loading, which means it is actually going to load the object when you are going to use it for the first time, not initially. So hence we say it is lazy in nature, and later on it throws the exception. On the other hand, so you will find that it is little tricky. I mean, first of all, I won't get any error in the starting. Later on, whenever I will try, then it will do. So that means if you are not fetching the properties in your repository, let's say you plan to fetch the properties in the service layer, so you will get exception in the service layer, not in the repository layer. So that's interesting. But in the get method, it again accepts the data type and primary key as it is. If it exists, it returns the object. If it doesn't exist, it returns null. Simple. So in your repository, it will return you null. Then in your service layer, you can check easily if it is null or not null. So if it is not null, you fetch the properties, there is no exception. If it is null, you don't move later on. So I find this one is far more better, and it does a eager loading here. Hence, the point is that this load method was available only in the Hibernate. So Hibernate, as I mentioned you, it's a tool, and then they created this particular thing that okay, this way we will do. So they are using it. This get method is again available in Hibernate only. So you will say that if both the methods are in Hibernate, then what we should do if we are making usage of JPA specification? The thing is, there we have a different method which we will see in our upcoming demos, not today. Then which one to be used? So before Hibernate 6, both of them were in the picture, and it used to be a very important interview questions whenever it comes to the Hibernate topic, that what is the difference between load and get, which one we should use, which one we should not use. And then there used to be a big answers. For that I will try to make a separate shot. But from Hibernate 6 onwards, things are too clear. The load method is deprecated, and you should only go for the get method, not the load method. So I hope that makes our job easier also, because now we just need to focus on the get method, and it provides with a null. So I can just have a null pointer exception, or I can just have a null check in the starting before accessing the properties, instead of having a surprise of getting some exception. So let's again check the same thing in our code and verify that it is actually deprecated. So we are back in our code, and here let's try to check this find owner part for this. So for this, first of all, let me try to go for the load. So I'll say here load, and in the load, as I told you, the first argument is going to be the data type, what you are going to fetch. So we are going to get a owner. So I will say it like this, owner.class. And the second part is going to be the primary key. So for us it is the owner ID. So it will look like this. And then if it is this load, so it is going to provide you the owner directly. So we can directly return it from here instead of this particular thing. So our code will look like this. But the point is, this says the owner, the load method is deprecated since version 6.0. And again, if we open this, so here it will provide you all the theory, whatever I have explained just now, and it says it is deprecated. And then what can be the option to go for? So you can go for something like get reference. So that is again one more method they have created here. But generally, instead of get reference, the another option which we have here is that we can go for the simple get method. I mean, get reference is still not used in that much usage as of now. So we can go for this particular get method here. So this way we can directly use, and this get method will provide you the null. It can provide you, and hence you will see in our service IMPL. So always after finding the owner from the database, I'm making a null check. So with the help of object. So I'm saying if it is null, throw the exception. If it is not null, convert it to DTO and then return. So as a good practice, you can do that. An important thing to remember, both the load and the get methods are from your session, that is Hibernate, not from your JPA. So for JPA, there will be a separate method which we will see later on. Now let's check for the next method, that is update pad details, and see what are the options we have for that. So for the update part, again we have two options here. I mean two methods. Now the first method is update. Now what it will do? It will just take your updated object. So here we need to provide the updated object. So generally for this what we do is, we first of all fetch the object from the database, then we manipulate it whatever way we want to do, and then we save it again. How do we save it again? By calling the method update. Update method will return you void, which means it is not going to return you anything. So here it says it is going to accept the updated object, then it is going to update the row or multiple rows, and then it is not going to return you anything. The other option is we have a merge method. Merge is also going to take your object. Now here it is in a different way. It's a generic method because it is also going to return you the updated object. So it will accept, update the row and returns you the updated object. So that's again a feature here. Now which one to go for? So the update method is a part of Hibernate only. It's not a part of JPA specification. But merge is a part of both JPA and Hibernate. So if you say that if we want to switch later on, we should go for merge, and that's the point. We should make usage of merge here. And again, as I told you that before Hibernate 6, both of them were in the picture. There used to be interview questions, which one to use, which one not to use, what are the differences. Now also you will get those interview questions, but then this point will be an add-on for you, that you can say that update method has been deprecated since Hibernate 6 and merge method should be used as a standard here. So again, this can be added, and maybe your interview don't know, so then you may need to prove. Let's see how to prove it then. I mean, you need to go for some documentation. Here I can show you directly. Documentation also I have provided you in the previous video, and I have shown you the documentation. Otherwise in the description of this video also you will see the documentation. There again you can check. Here I will directly show you in the code that why to go for merge and not update method. So again we are here in our IDE, and as I told you that before updating the object, because we need to provide the whole updated object, so we need to fetch the object first of all. So one option can be that you can fetch the object first in your service only, like here we did. We were fetching the object and then we were saying that if it is null, throw the exception, otherwise we were directly calling. You can provide the updated object here itself. That is one option. Or if you want to keep all your things directly in your repository layer, then better you can do those things here also. And for this what we will do is that first of all we'll copy this line and we'll paste here. I mean, try to use the things as much as possible, and here we will say like this, owner. So this way it is going to look like. So I'm saying session.get, it is going to provide me owner, And here I'm already saying where, but it is of type owner because I have clearly mentioned here. So this is the one. Now what I will do is I will say here owner dot, and then I will say set pet name, and here let me set the pet name as it is. So I'm saving the pet name. That has also been done, and post that I just need to say session dot update. Let's try to call this update here, and here let's pass on this owner. So this, and this update, as I told you, it is not going to return you anything, and it is deprecated, as you can clearly see here. So this is again deprecated. What to use? So we can go for this merge method. So this is the solution for this merge, and this merge is even the part of your entity manager, which is from the JPA. So you can make usage of that merge here directly. So let's just write here merge as a good practice. So now we will be writing here merge here, which is coming from your entity manager as well as session, because it's available in both of them. Now let's check for the last but not the least, that is the delete method. So in order to delete an object from the database, again we have two options. One is a delete method, other one is a remove method. Now the common part between both the methods is that both of them are going to accept the entity. So it is not possible that you can just provide the primary key and then you can delete or remove. You need to provide the object. So that is the thing both of them do. Both of them return you void. So the first part is same in both the things. Then the difference is delete is the part of Hibernate only, not JPA. Remove is a part of both JPA and Hibernate. And by this time, I hope you understand that whenever I write or whenever I say this line that it's a part of Hibernate, it's a part of both JPA and Hibernate, then my next line is that this one is deprecated. So since Hibernate 6 onwards, this has been deprecated, and this is a standard that we should make usage of remove only. So that's the thing. Again, it's going to be a good interview question, so you should be able to answer this. So let's again check the same in the code and see how to make usage of them, but the standard is remove now. So again we are in our code, and as I mentioned you that this both delete method or remove method are going to take your entity. So first of all we need to call this particular thing here something like this. So this needs to be done. Now if you wish, here in your service layer you may not check initially, because if it is not there then it is not going to work. So that can be done. So if you wish, you can put those exceptions or null checks here. I have kept them in my service layer. That is just your choice, whichever way you wish to go. Now here let's directly say session dot delete first of all. So here if I say delete, and here if I pass my owner, so then it looks like this. Again, this is a deprecated method. Let me take you to the declaration of this, and it says it will accept object, it will return void, but it is deprecated. The solution is remove here. So this remove is the solution. It is available in your session, which is from Hibernate, and it is also available in your entity manager, which is from your Jakarta or your JPA. So the same is available there. So let's try to go for this particular as remove method only. So here we will say remove method. So you see that for all the CRUD operations, for each and everything we were having two options. I told you before Hibernate 6, this used to be a very good question between in your interviews, that which method we should use, what are the differences and all. But now from Hibernate 6 onwards, there is a standard for all of them. So you should be using the updated things if you are using Hibernate 6. If you are using the older in your project, then you should be aware accordingly that which one is going to be good for you. I have just given a brief for all of them to you. So now since all of our methods are ready, now let's execute the code and see how these methods are going to work. So for this, what I'll do is I'll just right click on this and run the code. Now here let's see. So here as you can see, it says it is version 6.3.1 final, and as I mentioned, there should not be warning here in your console. There is only one warning, but that is for the production purpose. And here we can see that we are having four options in front of us. Now, before we execute any one of these options, let me just do one simple thing. I'll go to this src main resources, and there what I'll be doing is that I'll open this data.sql. So this file let me open with the help of my text editor, and here you can see there is too much amount of data with me. Let me just copy all of these things and take it here, and let me just paste the things here. Now here let me just say Control A and execute. So what it will do is it will add all the 72 rows in my database so that we can perform too many operations. Otherwise, each and every time I just need to add and delete my own new data only. So let me just say refresh all and click on this. So you see we have this data with us, and that's the benefit of this. Like whenever you are following this series, so you will be getting all the data and you can just try to make usage of this instead of starting from the scratch again. Now what we will do is we'll go here, and first of all we'll be executing all the options one by one. So first let's say add new owner, and for this I'll say 1, and let me just drag the screen up. So it says the ID of the owner. So as I mentioned you, their ID needs to be unique, and here since we are only providing the ID, so I'm already having 72 owners with me, so IDs are till 72. So if I just put any one of these IDs, then it will first throw me the error, and there is nothing much in that, because as you see that is a very simple thing. So in my service what I have done is, first of all I'm checking with the help of find owner whether the ID exists or not. So if it will be able to find a owner, it will throw me the exception that owner already exists. So you can try this one on your own, and if it is not there, only then it will be saving. So let me just go with the happy path here as of now. So I will be entering the ID as 73. Now here we will say the first name on the owner. Now again, when I will be providing the data, I may just provide some random data. So from the next video onwards, we'll do one interesting thing, that if you are going to comment in the video, so let's say currently we are having so many videos, and if you will comment on any one of the videos of Hibernate, or maybe even of this video, then in the next video we'll take your name and your data here. So that way we can just make it more interesting. Otherwise I just need to provide my name every time. So I'll provide here Abhishek, last name is Verma, gender male obviously, and city is here New Chandigarh. So let me just type this, and here I haven't provided the logic for taking spaces, so it may not take space as of now. So let me just say like this, New Chandigarh, then state is Punjab, and then mobile number is 9876543210, just 10 digits. I won't go beyond 10 digits, then it will throw me the error. If I will put less, then no issues. Then email ID, so again there is no big logic here as of now. So those things also I'll show you in my upcoming demos, that how you can validate even the input with the help of Hibernate, which is generally used. So pet ID again, let's say 73. Pet name is can be anything, let's call it as Polo, just I thought, and date of birth is 11/11, and let it be 2020. Gender is, let's say, male, and let's say it's a rabbit something. So here you see that we are getting this kind of output. So here it is saying select and all this thing. So you can see that first one is a select query, and it is not even using anywhere the join part. So it is directly selecting because it's a one table, so why will it use a join? And here it is directly saying owner. Now why this being got executed? Because in a service class or the service method, first of all we are saying find the owner. So because of this find owner, this got executed. Now since the owner was not there, then this insert statement got executed. So here it is trying to insert each and every thing, so you can just check this. So this way it has executed. And since in this hibernate.properties I have made highlight SQL, that's why you are checking that we are having this blue color and this purple color. I'm not sure whether this looks good or not. for me, I feel this white color is more bright. So if you say that this color doesn't looks nice, then from the next video onwards, we'll remove this highlight SQL. But for that, you need to comment me and tell whether this looks good or not. If you say it won't look good, we'll remove this from the next time. I have not done the formatting, so if you wish, from the next time we can add formatting. You can provide me such suggestions every time, and in the next video we can announce that. Then here we have owner has been saved successfully. So it says this is being done, and this way you will see the SQL queries being executed. Now let's validate in the database. So here I'll just execute the whole thing again, and you see the last one is this New Chandigarh. So verify each and every data. Now many times what happen is when we have too much amount of data, we'll just say that okay, this ID is here, but then we may find that one or two variables are not being saved, because maybe while setting the things, because here what happens is, let's say that you got the things in your owner service IMPL in this owner DTO, and you just check this, but while converting, maybe you missed any one of the variables, so then that won't be saved. So hence verify all these things. Yeah, and again, I mean the chances are very less, because for most of them here we have already provided the not null, so the chances are very less that anything can be missed here. So again, that's a good practice. Now let's say y here, and this time let's fetch. So if you wish, we can fetch a previous one, or we can just fetch this ID. Let me fetch something different here. Let's say randomly 20. I'm not sure whose data will come. So when I say 20 here, so this time the code goes to my find owner, and here we are just saying find owner. So it will directly make that particular request in the backend, and here you see this particular query came again here, and it says owner has been successfully, and this is the data here. So all the variables got added. Again, for this you should check everything is coming, because in the mapper util maybe you have missed that setting any of the values, so that needs to be checked here. And if you wish, we can verify this ID 20. So we'll just verify the first name as Grace, the state is Jharkhand here, and then we have, let's see, the pet name is Rocky. So let's verify these three things. So for ID 20, we will see that okay, this name is Grace, and this is from Jharkhand, and the pet name is Rocky, so the data is correct. So this one is again good. Now let's proceed with the next part. Why? Let's update this time. So for update, what do you think, how many queries will happen? Just see that here, first of all, I'm fetching the data here. So this is one time. If it doesn't appears in the database, it will throw the exception. But if it is there in the database, then it will go to your repository, and there we are again fetching the things first. So again we are fetching. So that is your choice. Like if you wish, in your service, if you don't want to make a check, then also it is fine, because you are already checking in the repository layer. So maybe you can remove this logic from here and directly call this update pet details. So that I'll leave up to you how you wish to go in that part. But I'm assuming that this time to get queries, and then this query will be executed to merge, that is to update. So let's go for this 3 I've added. Then ID, let me give first name 20. So currently we were getting Rocky, and instead of Rocky, let's make it as something Lolo. Yeah. So you will see first one is a select query, because it is from the service layer. Second one is again the select query. This one is in the repository layer. And then we have this update query, update owner table and set. And you see that although we are just changing the pet name, but it is going to again set all the variables. So it doesn't know which variable got changed. So it will try to set all of them. So this is the way it is going to behave. And let's verify in the database again here for this ID 20. So if I just scroll here, and you see the name has been changed to Lolo here. I'm not sure whether you are able to see, like maybe the size is too small, but it has been changed. Now let's go for the last but not the least. So I'll say Y, and I'll try to delete the owner details this time. Only one owner I can delete. How many queries, what do you feel? So when I say delete, So first of all, it will try to check. Now if it is there, then only it will proceed. Otherwise, here only it will throw the exception that it is not. So again, this is, I leave up to you. If you wish, you can remove this part. You can directly call delete owner, because in your repository it is going to check. Then again, one more read query and then delete query. So here I'll provide ID as, again, let's give this 20 only. So this 20. So as expected, select query. Then again, as expected, select query. And the third one is delete query. Delete from owner table where ID is this. So this way you can check the queries. And why we are able to check? Because here I have already made show SQL equals to true. If you won't add this, you won't see these queries. But this will still work. Only the thing is, the queries are not going to be visible. And now let's try to make a check from here only. Let's say y, let's say fetch, and we just deleted ID 20. Let's see. So now it says, so it tried to make a call, and then if it was not there, so it will say can't find owner with owner ID 20. So this way it is going to work, and now we can say that we have completed all the CRUD operations with the help of Hibernate. So this is the thing, and our code has also stopped because of the error, and we can again verify from the database that after ID 19 directly it is 21. So that particular ID is no more here. So we have completed this, and from the next video we are going to enhance our code, and we will see that how we can generate the primary keys in different ways. So that will be the part of next video. But before you leave, one more last final thing is that if we go here, so you will see that this is our GitHub repository. Currently I have uploaded the previous demos. So this demo I will be uploading when this video will be released. So you can download the demos from here. Each and every stuff is available. So if I show you like demo 1, so in the src main resources, you will find all the SQL files, properties, and everything is there. So easily you can download from here. You can like the repository. And beside this, another part is like, this is our channel. So we have already crossed 500 subscribers during this Hibernate series. So let's ensure that by the time we are going to close the Hibernate series, at least let's have a target of 1000 subscribers. I mean, that you will see that this is the hard work. Okay, I need to make so many things, and many times I need to test, many times there are failure scenarios, and so many things are there. It needs some particular hard work. For that hard work, the motivation is that you need to subscribe and you need to like our videos. Otherwise, you see this in 1 hour, I have just released this video today. So maybe by this time you may have watched this particular one or not. So in 1 hour we have just got these 4 views. If I just refresh this again, then also it will say in 3 hours only 7 views. So this way, that is not going to motivate us. So just watch our videos, comment, like, share with others. Thanks everyone.